Welcome to Coding for the Reluctant Teacher. Today's session is about different lessons you can do with your students, even if you have never taught coding before. My name is Corey Freed, and I am the Educational Consultant for Visual Sound. My goal during today's session is to help teachers feel more comfortable teaching coding if they've never done it before. Teaching coding scares a lot of teachers because it was something that they never experienced themselves as kids. Without the knowledge of growing up with something, it makes it scary, but I'm hoping that today's session helps you see that there's nothing to fear and that coding itself is part of life and you've been doing it without realizing it, just not on a computer. Today we're going to look at a couple of offline activities along with a couple of different websites that you can use to find ideas, materials, and lesson plans. When talking about coding, the most important thing for a teacher to realize is that it is all about algorithms. So what exactly is an algorithm? Well, according to the dictionary, an algorithm is a step-by-step procedure for solving a problem or accomplishing some end. With this in mind, think about some algorithms in your everyday life that you might not even realize is coding. Your brain has been programmed to complete these tasks without thinking about them. This brings us to the first type of activity for teachers that are reluctant to teach coding: unplugged activities. Ask your students to think about a paper airplane and how they would fold the paper to make the best flying plane. Tell them they can't use illustrations and they can only use words to explain the steps. They can't clarify once the steps are written down, so they really need to think about the best way to get their point across to their classmates. Once they have finished building their paper airplane directions, have them exchange them and build a classmate's plane. Then, let them fly the planes and see what happens. Some planes will fall to the ground, some planes might go a little farther, and some may do a loop-de-loop. But this is a great example for students about how verbal directions must be exact in order for the computer to follow them. Another great unplug lesson is to talk about secret codes and ciphers. Once you've discussed this within your content area, you can then bring it into computer science by discussing file compression. Use an example of a song with a repetitive chorus and have the kids turn it into a code that reduces the size of the file. Using spreadsheets is a great way to help students get started with computational thinking because they already have most of the basic math skills in their other classes. When you look at Excel, you will see that there are formulas for almost every type of math problem. The problem is, it's not always as simple as, for example, square root using a square root symbol. Instead, the students would need to know that a square root is actually SQRT. So if you wanted to find the square root of a number, you would put equals the square root, and inside the parentheses you would put the number. You'll notice the solution is in the cell. This is a great way to get the students started with the concepts that are required in coding. Coding can do almost anything, but you need to have the proper way to input the data. For more unplugged activities, you can look at websites such as code.org, which has a great list of curriculum ideas for all grade levels and subject areas. There are other websites also that have these unplugged coding activities, so make sure to do a search if you're interested in a specific topic area. While we are discussing code.org, it is important to talk about what they are most famous for, and that is Hour of Code. Hour of Code activities were designed with the average teacher in mind, so there is no learning curve and everything can be done directly on the website. Hour of Code takes students step by step through a different activity and allows them to go from the beginning to the end of a coding project. Some Hour of Code activities include pop culture, but always throw in an aspect of math and science. For example, the Frozen activity talks a lot about angles and dimensions. A nice thing about the Hour of Code activities is that it includes both block formatting, which is an easy drag and drop, along with JavaScript, which is a more common computer language and allows students to truly explore what it can offer. Each Hour of Code activity includes videos that the students can watch featuring famous people that will truly inspire them. Code.org was designed with the thought process that many schools do not currently offer computer science. Therefore, if you go up to the top toolbar and click Teach, you will be provided with a resource library that is free of charge for all educators. In this library, you will find professional webinars along with course recommendations for every grade level. Another great resource for teaching coding to students is CS First, which is brought to you by Google for Education. Once you create your account, you will be able to use their curriculum finder to determine the best activities for your students. Lessons on CS First range from one class period to an entire semester, depending on the difficulty. They are also ranked as introductory to advanced, so that you as the teacher can determine which one will be best for your students. When you select an activity on CS First, you have the ability to add your students so that they can each work independently. Each activity is designed so that students can work independently or with the class as a whole. You as the teacher will also receive examples and materials that might be relevant for your needs. The included materials include a Getting Started guide, lesson plans, and additional materials that might interest your students, such as posters and stickers that can be printed. Microbits are an inexpensive way to include some coding in your everyday lessons while actually letting your kids have a final project. The microbit is a small device with LED lights that can be programmed using block coding on the microbit website. When you are going into the microbit website, you will find that there are different things that you can use for your students. You can find pre-made lessons and project ideas. When you are ready to code, you would click on the Let's Code, and it provides you with block coding or Python editor. Python is one of those computer languages that are very common in education and in the real world of coding. Another great resource for your classroom is SAM Labs. SAM Labs are small Bluetooth-enabled blocks that can be used in a variety of ways. Basically, your students' imagination is the limit. These Bluetooth-enabled blocks can be connected using Legos, or you can 3D print designs and put the blocks into them. SAM Labs can be coded using two different methods. Method number 1 is a program called SamSpace, which can be downloaded to any device. In SamSpace, you just drag and drop the virtual blocks and connect the dots so that the input reflects the output. The second method of programming SAM Labs is using Workbench. In Workbench, you can use block formatting to program the SAM Labs to do a variety of tasks. You can also connect the SAM Labs to other devices, such as your microbit, to even expand the possibility of projects. One of the most popular coding programs for primary grades is Scratch. Scratch was created at MIT and was designed again to be a point-and-click coding program. The nice thing about Scratch is it's very self-explanatory for students, and it could also be used with a variety of tools. My favorite use of Scratch in the classroom is to connect it to a Makey-Makey. Makey-Makey is a very simple product that just allows you to connect a little device as if it was a keyboard. You have your arrows and your buttons that connect via alligator clips to a variety of conductive materials. On its own, the Makey-Makey is just a bunch of arrows and buttons. However, when partnered with Scratch, you can have each button reflect what you would like. When you add the Makey-Makey extension to Scratch, you will get new blocks. All you do is drag the blocks into the platform, and you can now use your Makey-Makey to do a variety of different tasks. Ozbots are a great addition for primary grades because they don't require any computers. The Ozbot is programmed using color-coded languages to tell it how to move. Different patterns represent different turns and speeds for the robot. Ozobots can also be programmed online using block coding. The device will follow the code that was written, and students will be able to see in real time how it reacts. Try to remember when you're incorporating coding into your everyday classes that it doesn't need to be a complex lesson. Something as simple as writing down directions in an ELA class or doing a code-breaking assignment in a social studies class can begin to help students see the algorithms and computational thinking required for coding. As you move on, start to incorporate a few products such as Makey-Makey and SAM Labs. This will allow your students to actually code and see a physical result. Use the resources provided as a starting point, but they are not the end of everything. You can find many resources about coding online. Social media is another great place to get ideas of projects you can do with your students. Look at Twitter and try different hashtags such as CS for All and Computer Science. You could also sort by a grade level and find some activities that will best suit your students. Remember, computer science doesn't have to use a computer, and there's a lot of different ideas that you can do to help your students get more comfortable with these concepts. Thank you all for watching today's video. My name is Corey Freed, and once again, I am the Educational Consultant for Visual Sound. If you have any questions, I will be doing a live Q&A session, and I am also available by email or by phone to help you with any of your computer science questions. Thank you and have a great day.